G'day, Peter Reaburn here. I'm a recently retired academic and spent 20 great years living in Rockhampton, and about 11 years ago we were thrown as a married couple a curveball, and I'd like to introduce my wife Claire, mother of our two children, Megan and Rebecca. And Claire, we were hit, and you were hit with a rare form of ovarian cancer. Just sort of let us know a little bit about your journey since 2011.
Yes, well, it started, I had a bit of a cold and was doing a lot of coughing, and I felt as though all my insides were going to just fall out of me, and I thought, oh, I better go see the doctor, get something for the cough. And she did an internal examination and said, I think you've got ovarian cancer. Now, at that time I went, oh yeah, okay. I knew nothing about ovarian cancer. I knew nothing about the statistics, nothing about research or signs or symptoms. Anyway, I ended up having surgery and to remove the left ovary where the tumour was, and we were happily told that it wasn't cancer, and we sighed with great relief that it wasn't cancer. But unfortunately 9 months later, when I went and had a hysterectomy, they found microscopic cells of juvenile granulosa cell tumour, very, very rare form of ovarian cancer. In actual fact, the tumour that was removed earlier in 2011, in all probability, was granulosa cell tumour. It's just that rare that doctors don't know much about it. In fact, some doctors know nothing about it, simply because there's no research out there, and very, very few females have granulosa cell tumour. I think I am one of probably 5 in Australia. As Pete has mentioned previously, I was probably one of the eldest in the world diagnosed with juvenile granulosa cell tumour. It tends to, if it is going to affect someone, they tend to be younger females. The adult granulosa cell tumour, as opposed to the juvenile, is the one that tends to affect the postmenopausal women rather than premenopausal. So once I was diagnosed with that, I did do a little bit of reading, and I must admit it was only a little bit, because the statistics are not very encouraging. They're actually very, very depressing, and I decided that this wasn't a good way to go, to keep on reading all this bad information. So I stopped reading about the findings with juvenile granulosa. And since 2011, I've had about 4 rounds of chemotherapy, numerous types of therapy, and probably 6-7 surgeries. The last one I had, which was March last year, we actually sent off some of the tumours. I had 10 tumours removed, and some of the tumours were sent to the Hudson Institute of Medical Research, to Dr. Simon Chu, and to be analysed. And that's a very, very long and costly process, so we're yet to hear the final outcome, and that may be a little while yet, but it certainly will be speeded up by the funds that are raised by this bike ride, which is really, in a lot of ways, been very overwhelming, with the support that's been given to Pete and I personally by some really dear friends. And I get a bit of a lump in the throat when I think of what they're undertaking, simply because they're a friend and care about Peter and I. But also a big thank you to my husband. Only he could do this from scratch. It has been an enormous undertaking. It was something I didn't want to have too much to do with, because it just reminded me that I had juvenile granulosa cell tumour. But I could see that he was starting to drown a little bit under the pressure of trying to get this job all together. So I stepped in, and I've been helping him organise quite a few things, and we've had a lot of fantastic help from a few of the riders, and also from a lady called Georgie Herbert here, who is involved with the Ovarian Cancer Foundation. She has been a bit of a mentor to Peter in helping him organise this ride. But it's all coming together, and the end of April we'll all come together as a group and start this journey that will bring us even closer together, I think, and hopefully raise quite a bit of money, and Hudson will be able to employ some PhD students, and will be able to extend their program and hopefully come up with some therapies or some findings that will enable people like little Neve to live a long and much healthier life. Yes.
Claire, just from our journey that started in 2011, I can vividly remember from a male perspective. One of the things I was noticing with you as an observer was when I was in the shower and you were getting dry after having your shower, is you always had this little tummy. And we identified in hindsight, if we had got onto that feeling of bloatedness and that little extra tummy you had, that was one of the key signs from a male perspective that something wasn't quite right when you weren't a big overeater, you're a regular exerciser.
Yes.
Just the signs and symptoms in hindsight now, as a woman, many of them are typical of any older woman that's particularly had children.
They are, and that's why so many females diagnosed with rare ovarian cancer or ovarian cancer, it's often fairly late stage, because symptoms such as constipation, frequent urinating, bloating, tiredness, back pain, they're all, a lot of them, pain during sexual intercourse, change in your menstrual cycle. They're all very, very common complaints that females have, and in particular mothers. And so you tend to ignore them because, this is just what happens when you're a female. Yes, it's not until you have that something drastic happen, which is normally fairly late stage, that you get the diagnosis. And because there is such, so little to none research in rare ovarian cancer, oncologists and doctors really don't know what to prescribe, because there's no clinical trials or research out there telling them what might work. So often it's their best guess based on existing research around around breast cancer or prostate cancer, and sometimes that treatment may work for you and sometimes it may not. But yes, the signs and symptoms are extremely important, and if you have them for any length of time, you need to go get them checked out.
Well, thank you very much, Claire. I know you don't like the public speaking, but you've done very, very well. So, yeah, on behalf of Rare Ovarian Cancer Incorporated and all the riders and support crew that we've got, thank you so much. So, yeah, Peter Reaburn here, just thanking everyone that's helped out, and thank you to all our sponsors, particularly the big players like Bendigo Bank and BMD Group, Skoda, who are providing us with a vehicle, and good old Halgan Environmental Services.
And the Livingston Shire Council for the support they've given
JJ Kerr from Rockhampton,
for the support they've given Leanne and Dale.
And thank you very much to Kent Murray from Kentos Communications, who's just given up his professional time and given us his expertise and equipment to help us out with this little project. Thank you so much, Kent.
Thank you.